give it a few for it to start recording. Brett. All right, so here we are on week 3. Down here at the bottom of week 3, it says File Organization Template. If you click that and then hit Open a New Window, it's going to take you to this Google Drive. You can go ahead and download this Project Organization File Management Guide. That's a folder with like a bazillion subfolders in it that once you download them will look like this when it's on your computer. So this is a big fat folder that's empty with a bunch of other folders in it, and I'm going to kind of explain this file organization step by step. So you'll start with the project name, the client name, the company or class / project. So essentially, if this was a commercial for Netflix, we would do, I don't know, Netflix commercial 3, and then client name might be Netflix company. Or for this class, it might be something along the lines of assignment 1, Hollywood recreation, and then you would put the class number, COM 342, something along those lines. It would be nice to see good file organization. So when we're talking about file organization, we have 2 things here. We have project name, external, project name, internal. Who wants to take a guess as to what external and internal, what's the difference when I'm talking about post-production? What do you think? Big brain. Daniel?
Would it be for shots that were recorded inside or outside?
No. Josh?
Is it like what we as the production group are calling it versus what we're calling, versus what it's actually called? Like,
No. Sophia?
Is it the things that like we capture ourselves, like internal versus the things given to us as external?
No. Ryan, what do you got for me?
Similar to her.
Similar to her?
What are we outsourcing?
I'm not, this isn't supposed to be, I'm not trying to trick you guys. This is, you're going to hate the answer to this, so I'm going to keep going. Somebody else. Lily, what do you think it is? You don't know? Daniel, again.
External, internal drive.
Getting closer, get a little warmer. Davis? Yes! Internal versus external. External is where your projects are stored outside of the editing program. Internal is your internal video program, video editing, folder arrangement. So this is not actually going to be brought into your project. This is just a visual reference. This is what should be outside of your NLE. So for those of you who don't know, you can make folders inside your video editing program to organize your files. Okay? So that's essentially what this is. It's the difference between internal, which is inside the editing program, and external. We'll start with external. So external, we're going to have 3 basic folders. One is software project files. For every project you do this semester, you might also have different programs. So let's say you post this to YouTube and you want to give your short film a thumbnail. You might do that in Photoshop. So inside this, you might have a specific folder for files from Photoshop. Additionally, you might be doing animated graphics. You might be doing special effects. Those files live in these main folders under software project files. Does that make sense? That's pretty straightforward. So let's say, like I said, I design a graphic. Maybe I design a title that's like a PNG transparency that I put inside my project. That goes in those folders. So I'm keeping my softwares organized, what different programs I'm using. Inside documents, we have your call sheet, footage log, pitch, and supporting documents. If you're doing a television show, you're going to need a pitch. That's one of the things you have to do. Production and shooting schedules, your show Bible. If you're doing a show, you might also include a show Bible in your pitch. Anybody ever written a show Bible for Dr. Schaefer's class? No, none of you have taken script writing. Who's taking script writing with Dr. Schaefer? Does he not do the show Bible project anymore?
What's that?
Maybe that was me.
Is that the big 40-minute?
No, it's like a booklet you make that's a very quick pitch for your show. It's supposed to communicate kind of the themes. It's supposed to have imagery. It's something you specifically craft, and you say, I'm pitching Stranger Things to you. This is kind of the aesthetic. And you include like rustic 80s aesthetic photos and kind of descriptions of your characters, rough like images of what they might look like. It's like an enhanced pitch. Yeah.
He did do that. He just didn't call it that.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. All right. Style and theme. reference images. So in previous semesters, and I will reignite this, before you start shooting your project, like this one, you already know exactly what you're trying to make. You have references for what you're trying to make. In future projects, you'll go, I want to do something a little more futuristic, but a post-apocalyptic, rustic kind of themed thing. And what you'll do for me is you're going to essentially build kind of your own show Bible, just in images. So you'll include 20 reference images for kind of the visual style you want this project to look like. So that's, for me, when you're turning your project, I will ask for your these files, not for this project, for later projects. And one of the things I'm looking for is, did you find photos and reference images that would reinforce the theme you're chasing with this project? Right? I want you to kind of have a style you're pursuing. Yeah?
Are we allowed to use AI to help?
Yeah, you can use AI if you want. Absolutely. The script, if you're writing a story, you might have multiple iterations of your script, including the rough draft. Include every draft. All right, so that's kind of your documents. Sorry, so we had the three here: software, documents, and project assets. Moving from documents to project assets, we get your graphics, your raw footage. This is where you'll put your footage after individual shoots, and you can organize it like this. Let's say we filmed on Friday, and we film again on Sunday. You could put shoot Friday and then X thing. Maybe you filmed in multiple locations. You could put the names of those locations. You could use scenes. For instance, let's say you set out to film specific scenes. This is a little more flexible here. But then inside each one, you might include the different scenes that you shot. So when you're logging your footage, you're also organizing it into this raw folder. You can start giving ratings there. If you didn't know this, with specific files, I mean, you can really do this with anything on Mac. If you right-click something, you can assign a color to it. You guys know about this? So this could be your good, better, best rating right here for your shots before you bring them into your program. And so then when you go to import stuff, you can pick specific ones that are all highlight green and then throw that footage into your project. That might be another way that you log your footage. You watch it right here on the computer, open it up, give it a green, orange, or green, yellow, orange, red, and that's kind of your rating system. Okay? Cool. So for our shoot one, or like our shooting day one, we shot these scenes in these, and I have different folders for each one. Okay? Is this all making sense? Am I moving at a good pace? Is this confusing anyone? We doing good? All right, I'm also recording this, and I'll post this to YouTube, so you'll have this whole video right here as we're going through it. Okay? So that's your raw footage. Your raw footage could have multiple shoot days, multiple scenes. Organize your raw footage however you like. Make sure it's in a logical flow. Make sure you log it. And again, on Mac, you can add colors. Okay? Your renders. If you have renders, for instance, let's say we used Adobe After Effects and we made a bunch of explosions or whatever you want to use, you can throw those renders. They're kind of video files. Those could go into your renders folder adjacent to your project assets. And then sound elements. Inside sound elements, you have music and sound effects. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward. So now you've organized your whole project externally from your editing software. So to break this down, externally, we have the three main categories: software, so project files, documents, project assets. Inside your project assets is where all your footage is going to go, all your sound, all your raw footage, all your graphics, whatever it might be, and other elements as well. Okay? So that's external organization. When we're talking about internal organization, again, this is how it's going to appear inside your editing software. So we'll have the project name, and these are going to be your base folders, your base 6 or 7 folders that you're going to create inside your editing software. So under audio, you'll have music and sound effects. This will be identical to the content that's in your external storage. You'll have effects. This is where you'll keep your effects. Images. If you have images that you might need to overlay, you can put those in there. Other, same thing, kind of renders, special titles. Sequences. Can someone explain to me the difference between sequences and just individual video files inside an editing software? You guys know what a sequence is? Yes, Jeremiah.
Sequences, a group of individual recordings that are grouped together.
Yes. So a sequence is kind of the parent to your assembled footage and audio. So inside my timeline, if I make a bunch of video and I line them up and edit them and adjust the audio volume and that's all saved as its own individual sequence. And you should have multiple versions of the same sequence. Copy and paste them, and then re-edit it. Adjust timing on things, adjust audio, adjust whatever it is, maybe even transitions, to try and find the best version of the scene you're making. Again, not applicable to this assignment, but applicable later. Titles, if you make specific titles, some programs have specific title-like files. In Media Composer, you have specific ones, and you can save those here as well. And then your video. Inside your video, you're going to save it in the exact same structure, or very similar structure too, that you did externally. You'll have your shoots, your different shoots, and then maybe in here, you've already hand-picked and only imported the best footage that you logged externally. So I did all my footage logging externally. I put little green dots, or I gave scores, or I used a log sheet, and I said shots 9, 13, 39, 98, and 91 from the chase scene are all usable. Those are the only videos I imported. That's your best footage, right? You bring that in, you edit it, you assemble it, and you go, there's not enough here. Then you say, okay, I'm going to go back out, look at the rest of our footage, and see if there's some more comparable footage we might be able to put in there. But as a rule of thumb, import your best footage to your project, okay? Because then you know you're working with your best, and you don't have to question that. If that's still not good enough, that's when you get back to, do we need to go reshoot, okay? Because maybe you logged it as good, and it's still not that good, okay? So you have your different shoots. You might have different scenes, but this is the general format for internal. So this is how it would look inside Media Composer, Premiere Pro. You have these essential folders, and inside those folders is all the contents for your project, okay? So that's the difference between external and internal storage. Any questions on that? Yeah.
The external storage, does that mean it stays on your own hard drive if plug in, or it can be saved on the computer just not inside the NL?
It could be saved anywhere. Let's say you're using a hard drive, but you save the project to the computer. Then all your internal stuff's obviously on the computer. All your footage, all your other assets are on external hard drive. You could have everything on your external hard drive. You could be editing directly off your external hard drive. Don't use the SD cards from the lab. Just big PSA, don't be editing at any point off an SD card, because you have to return those SD cards, okay? Cool. It doesn't matter as long as it's secured and you have multiple copies of it. So your external stuff is pretty much going to be everything you filmed. That should be copied and saved in at least 2 places, minimum of 2 places. So even if you find out Rebecca has an extra 50 gigabytes on her computer and you have 45 gigabytes of footage, but you only have one hard drive with all the footage on it, ask Rebecca, can we use up the other 45 gigs in your computer, other 50, and just put it on Rebecca's computer? Because if everything crashes and you lose it all, at least you have Rebecca's footage as a backup. Okay? So always have 2 backups. That's like absolutely imperative. And then ideally, when you back up your footage, that's when you start logging it. So you finish filming for the day, you sit down, you back up the footage to a computer, maybe you go back to the lab, you return the equipment, and then you start logging. You start finding the best shots. You color code them all. This shot's an orange, this shot's a yellow, this shot's a green. Just going that way. Okay? Bread? Bread. Cool. I'll stop the recording here. Unless there's other important questions. Any more important questions? No?